Hey.
Huh?
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, we just saw a movie.
Why are you talking so quiet again?
Oh, I'm not. I'm talking
Bring it
normal.
up!
I'm talking normal.
You gotta be enthused.
I am.
You gotta be like, yeah!
I'm so excited. Like Jessie Spano when she was high on caffeine pills.
Pep pills, pep, pep, pep,
Yep.
pep, 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 tappa, tappa, tappa. So, what's your name?
I am Michelle.
Are you?
Yes.
I'm Josh.
And we just saw a movie.
You didn't say hey, though.
Hey.
Hey, exclamation mark. We just saw a movie.com.
We don't have proper punctuation on our name, I just realized. We
What?
have the exclamation point after the hey, but no period after the we just saw a movie.
Because we talk after that.
It's an
We
open-ended.
say, hey, we just saw a movie, and then we
so
continue
really, should
to
it be
talk. ...
I think the
Maybe.
dots are overused, though. Especially, well... ...
No.
No, I was going to say, especially with what's-his-face, but I didn't want to bring him into the
You don't have
podcast.
to say his name if you don't.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to say his name.
We all know.
Don't say his name. Say
the
his name.
dots.
Mr. ...
Yeah. So...
Yeah, you got to fill the dead air when I'm drinking.
Sorry.
When I'm drinking drink.
Again, we are... Well, we don't really have to address that every time, but we are recording this for YouTube again if you want to watch it.
That's right. And at this current moment, I haven't put up Wonder Woman, so.
Oh, that was a nice face. Oh, no. But I will explain, in case I don't know where the framing is, if you can see my hand, I'm wearing this lovely glove. And this is not a
She's
fashion choice.
She's gonna be in Wonder Woman 3.
Yeah, this is
She's a new villain.
a really awful fashion choice. But this is my what is this called? My compression glove for my hand.
Did you not mention that last time?
No, I put it on in the middle of the episode, and then I thought I should have explained that glove in case somebody watches the YouTube and they're like, "What is she doing?"
That's okay. On Scott's bass lessons, he wears a glove, and almost in every video, he's addressed it millions of times. So people go, "What's the glove for? What's wrong with your hand?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you like blah 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 blah."
Well, if you've listened to the podcast before, you might know that I destroyed my elbow in October.
Destroyed.
And had a bunch of titanium put inside my arm. But now
T1000.
that we're on video, maybe I'll show you guys the scar someday. Not today.
Yeah, you
I'm wearing
gotta
a
keep
sweater.
watching and keep.
Yeah.
You gotta subscribe.
Yeah.
YouTube. Hey, we just saw a movie, and all your podcasting locations. Hey,
Yeah.
we just saw a movie.
Subscribe. So anyway, so that's the ugly glove.
If we get 1 trillion subscribers, she'll show you her scar.
That sounds like a little Pixar short or something, like the ugly glove.
Yeah, I guess the
Right?
glove isn't that? Yeah, I guess that's just a new take on Rudolph.
I don't know what it would be. I think it could just be the ugly glove. It could be about the glove. It could be about how the glove makes me feel, about what the glove means to people. It's just the ugly glove.
That's right.
I don't know.
When you're in love, wear a glove.
All right, what did we watch?
My computer is loud right now.
Yeah.
We watched
I want to see the caption for that. How
You
many
do?
O's and L's and U's do you think would be in there?
Whoa,
I think that would be at least 20 O's. And then the W-O.
It was able to decipher on Hotboxing with Mike Tyson. It was able to decipher Robert Kennedy Jr. So if it could do that, it could probably.
Yeah, I'm just curious. What do you
what I
think
just
it would
did.
just do the word like soul like regular, or
No,
it
it'll
would
put the O's in.
it'll
there.
put all the O's
It'll
in
put
there?
the O's
Oh,
in there.
okay.
It's machine learning, baby.
Okay.
You know, all the
robots are
gonna
coming.
they're replacing your arm. There's
I
nanites.
know.
You didn't know there's nanites in your arm.
Oh. Well, I would think if I had nanites, I would be healing a lot quicker.
Maybe.
Right? Wouldn't it be
They
working
could
a lot
be
better?
first generation nanites
That's true.
shipped over here from.
Also,
somewhere
they
else.
don't want to give away their in there. So if I healed too quickly, it would be like, wait a minute. I think I have robots inside
Stop.
my arm.
Wait a minute.
I think I have nanobots
That's right.
rebuilding.
So back to Seoul.
Yeah. Okay.
We watched it.
That's what we watched.
Not South Korea, but
No.
the movie by Pixar, Disney. Wait.
Disney Plus
Original.
original.
What is it? Distributed by I forgot what it said. Something by Walt Disney.
Oh.
And
well, it was released as a
released by Walt Disney.
Disney
created by Pixar.
Plus original.
That's right. Because
Original.
some of y'all don't cover your face.
Right, we're all still stuck at home.
Still, well, some
Well,
people.
it's supposed to be
Some
stuck
people
at
are
home.
running around supermarkets coughing
Yeah,
on people.
that's true. Ugh, we're never
But-
getting out of our houses.
We're just gonna be
this is
hobbits.
life. Yeah.
Living in our Hummels.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. That's the Hummel.
We'll probably
People.
just go back to doing more live episodes so that we can interact with people.
That's right. Someone talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm sick of seeing each other's faces. Michelle saw people she hadn't seen. She's only seen my face pretty much and the people at Gelson's.
Yeah,
past
and the
9
grocery
months.
store folks.
So our friends Michael and Rosie came by to say hi. We kept distance. They dropped off snacks.
They sat in the car. We stood on the sidewalk. We all had masks on.
Mm-hmm.
We chatted for a few minutes and then away they went.
Chickadee chat.
That was
That's
our
right.
Christmas drop by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was Christmas.
It was. Cause
How was your New Year's? Our New Year.
How was New Year's Eve? What did we do?
I think we watched Fargo.
Yeah, we probably did.
What we've been watching.
We watched Fargo, which I really want to finish.
Yeah, we got to finish.
We
It was
gotta-
just last night. We had watched something. We had watched
We finished Heaven's Gate.
we finished Heaven's Gate. But yeah, so going into Fargo after Heaven's
Yesterday.
Gate was just a lot
Too much.
a lot of dismembering
Yeah.
and whatever.
So we finished Heaven's Gate, which was, it's so weird to say fascinating, but it was interesting. It
It
was
was intriguing.
fascinating.
Yeah.
And
Spoiler
then-
alert, they all die.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird.
Which is interesting.
Well, actually, it's a spoiler alert to people who were born in 2000 or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. People have no
It's
idea.
kind of
what
like
this is.
Jonestown for us. We were kind
I
of like,
did-
oh, that's
I
crazy.
did forget because you were like, "Oh, these are the Hailbot people," and I was like, "No, they're not. These are Heaven's Gate people." And he's like,
You were
"It's
like,
the same
they're the
thing."
Umbop people.
Right. I didn't have forgot these. This was Hailbot because I was like, no, they've been talking about UFOs, but they thought the meteor was going to take them to the UFO, or the meteor was the UFO, or
Yeah, something like
Something.
that. They thought there was a thing behind it,
yeah,
but there wasn't. But then they still were like, it's a sign. Let's go anyway.
right.
So,
So
interesting.
then they went.
We recommend that. HBO Max.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
yeah. And since we just recorded another episode, we already talked about everything we've been watching.
Did we talk to, what was that show that we watched about New York City and that guy? It's like Joe Para, but it's not Joe
We couldn't
Para.
remember what it was called
Or-
last time either. It was it John Wilson.
Something like that.
It's
John
how
Wilson
to.
Booth.
No, I think it's called How To with John Wilson.
Sure.
Something like that. I'm sure
To
if you
that
Google
effect.
that, you'll get close to the right answer. But
That's probably it.
that is a delightful show.
It was good.
Yeah.
I think we watched that New Year's Day.
Yeah, we
or
watched
yesterday.
that was yesterday.
Oh,
Several,
they're
oh
all
yeah,
the-
New Year's was just Friday.
I don't know what we did.
Is today Monday?
Sure.
Yeah, it's only been a few days.
If you
okay.
want to say it is.
I don't know what's happening. Time. Again.
Time.
What is time? We don't know anymore.
What is time, man?
Man,
Do, do,
it's
do.
jazz.
Yeah, so that's what we've been up to. That's what we've been watching. We lied to everyone and said we were going to do a special short episode about the movies we liked last
a
year.
year-end thing.
A year end. And we're lazy
We
bums.
didn't do it.
We didn't do it. We watched TV. I made some music. We ate chips and cookies.
I did a lot of physical therapy.
And she did physical
Ate
therapy.
up all my time.
Took showers.
Yeah.
So
A couple walks in
we were
there.
busy. We didn't do it. And there's no podcasting company making
Right.
us do this, so it's not
So-
like we have to.
So what is your solution? What did you decide we're doing?
My solution is an 80-20 mix of hydrochloric acid
Hmm.
and
No.
I don't know what else.
Okay.
I'm not good at chemistry. So yeah, I wanted to throw out your favorite movie that we watched
Mm-hmm.
for the podcast and your favorite actor and woman actor. I don't know what what
You
you
can
say.
just say actors.
For actors, but then you
No,
might
you
say
say
two
male.
dudes.
You say male and female actor.
Oh, okay.
But what does it matter? Why do you have to choose one from each category?
Because then that's the way it's always been.
Okay,
Why not?
sure.
Like you say,
Well,
hey, I want you to choose your favorite legs, and
Then-
you choose two left legs. It's like,
oh, we're
you can
picking
choose a
just
leg
from
and a
a
right leg
bin
of-
of legs.
yeah.
It has to be
This is a
specified.
weird. This is a weird visual.
Choose-
Just like a bed of legs.
Okay,
Like,
now.
no, not
what
the
I need
Puerto
you to
Rican
do-
one.
No, now what I need you to do, Josh, is there's a bin of legs.
Uh-huh.
It's really important that you choose a right leg and a left leg. Any legs, but one of them has to be right and one of them has to be left.
It's a bin of legs.
Right. Okay, so no, it would be
knows how to
favorite-
use them.
male and female actor.
Sure.
Go.
I don't want to get canceled.
You go.
So I let you do it. You go.
No.
No, I was saying the car.
Oh, okay.
I've got like hair on my shirt, not on my chest, but on my shirt and on my chest. Favorite movie? It's a tie between, and I think these are also biased because we watched them in the theater. We had the real theater experience, kids. When
Wow, that
you didn't
narrows
know
it
that
down.
back in the day, you actually used to watch movies with possibly hundreds of people.
This is funny because it really narrows it down because we only saw a few in the theater before we started the podcast.
Yeah, but we did record some of them from
That's
2019.
true. From before. The before times.
The before times. So it's a tie for me between Richard Jewell and Parasite. I liked both of them a lot. Parasite was obviously nothing I thought it would be because I didn't know anything about it. Richard Jewell, I knew about it, and I love period films, and I love the people that were in that film. So it's kind of a tie between those. They're two different movies, but I'm not the Academy Award, so I don't have to just pick one, but it's kind of a tie between those. What about you?
It's interesting because those two episodes are among the top listened to episodes.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I don't care what the critics say.
So you might be along the lines of everyone else.
That's right.
You're not special.
It's me. I've learned that years ago. I remember a lady walk up to me at a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert and says, "You're going to do great things," because I asked Chad Smith a cool question. And I guess I've done some great things, but
You
nothing
have
that a
done
lot
great
of...
things.
Yeah, I guess she wasn't specific about like how big they would
What
be.
you're saying right now ties straight into the movie that we'll be
Hey,
discussing.
we're not talking about the movie yet.
Okay.
We're not talking about the movie yet.
All right. Well, as we discussed prior to recording this episode,
Richard prior to recording.
I stated that I have a very difficult time picking favorites of anything. I don't know why, but I have a hard time. So I don't really know what my favorite would be, but Parasite is up there.
Can't you just say Parasite?
No, because also when I scrolled through all the movies we watched, Onward was really good. Just Mercy was good. I enjoyed The Spy Who Dumped Me. They're not really on the same playing field. Like you can't put.
You guys hear what I'm dealing with? This is how we choose food.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
I'm like, where do you want to go? I really like Sweet Green is great, and so is Takaya. I also love Mendocino. I also love...
Right. I don't know. So, okay, we'll say Parasite.
Thank you.
Oh, but I also loved Palm Springs.
Too late. Okay, so your favorite male actor. Man actor?
Go.
I wanted to say Paul Walter Hauser, who played Richard Jewell, but I forgot at the last minute about Rami Malek, who spent the whole time. I can't do the voice.
He was good.
I have to put like candy cane in my mouth and talk.
Oh, remember The Platform?
I do remember The Platform. It's a good movie.
Yep.
I have more thoughts on that, but it was after we had done the episode. So
after we were done.
Right. It happens a lot. We should do after. we should have Chris Hardwick do after the podcast.
Well, this happens all the time. I think even Wonder Woman, I was like, wait, I had another question.
Tons of questions. So
Something
what about
else
you?
ridiculous. Oh,
what about you? Stay on task.
We're doing favorite male actor?
Male. Or considering themselves male. Whatever.
Again, I don't know. But A recent movie we saw was pretty good, King of Staten Island.
That
And
was
I
good.
think that Pete Davidson and Bill Burr did a great job.
Yeah. I think Pete was being himself, but it was still cool.
Yeah. And
But Bill was being... He's kind of being himself, too.
obviously
his
Rami
himself.
did great, Bohemian Rhapsody. Just scrolling through all our episodes.
All right, you get 5 seconds.
Oh, the photograph was so good.
This will be like an hour and a half of
What's
you
his
trying
face?
to figure it out.
Yeah. What's his face in photograph?
Yeah, I forgot his name.
Yeah, he was good.
Donnie Wahlberg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. From Atlanta and all that. Yeah. So I don't know who you picked, but that's good.
These are the ones I liked.
What about female actor?
Female actor. You know who we saw in was she in Two Things? Or no, I'm just remembering her because we're watching Fargo.
Fargo?
Jessie Buckley.
Sure, I don't know who that is.
She's the crazy nurse on
Oh,
Fargo.
okay, yeah. She was in I'm Thinking of Ending It All or Ending Things or
And yeah, I'm thinking of ending things. And wasn't she also Wild Rose?
I can't remember.
Well, I think so.
No, Wild Rose was the chick from Little Woman, wasn't it?
Not Florence.
I thought she was
Oh
Wild
my
Rose.
goodness. Why don't we know these things? Okay, you tell yours and then I'll sort myself out.
Okay, I'm gonna go with I think this is her name, Coco Jones from Vampires in the Bronx. Vampires versus the Bronx. She was the Dominican girl that knew like everything that they were saying. It was like, oh yeah, you guys are talking about werewolves. This is what you need to do. Blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, she was good.
And then she was just really confident, and I like that. I like those kind of side characters. I guess that's best supporting actress if you were doing Oscars or whatever. But
yeah. If we were official.
Yeah, but I just liked her because she wasn't the main, or maybe she was. I don't know. But yeah, she was really good in that role. So
I was right. It was Jessie Buckley.
Cool.
So I guess I'm a Jessie Buckley fan now.
That's right.
So
you're one of the Bucks.
I guess. Yeah. So okay. Well, that was our
impromptu
our year in review.
Year in review. If you want a year in review, go and subscribe to the podcast and start digging through them while you're driving to the store, in the shower, working. I listen to podcasts while I work. You can listen to our podcasts while you work. So,
tell us your favorite.
Or as my brother and sister-in-law may be doing, staying up all night taking care of your baby. You can listen to these things.
Listen to the podcast instead of the crying baby.
Right. And then when you Zoom with your friends, you can be like, oh, yeah. Soul. Yeah, I know that. Because you listen to us and you don't have any time really to watch Soul because you got a crying baby. So
yeah,
we're here for you, parents.
That's fine.
All
you
right.
can steal our thoughts.
I know you can steal my thoughts, boy. All right, let's jump to it. So, Soul, give us the synopsis.
IMDb says, a musician who has lost his passion for music is transported out of his body and must find his way back with the help of an infant soul learning about herself. I have a problem with this little synopsis.
That
IMDb.
sounds more like a psychedelic drug that he took.
Being transported out of his body?
Yeah, he was like, I was on ayahuasca.
Right. I guess they don't want you to know he dies, but I think we assumed this. But I don't know.
But he didn't really die.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess. So, but here's the thing. Here's the problem I have with the sentence is, by the way, that all was one sentence. A musician who has lost his passion for music, which is not what happened at all. That is way wrong because I feel like that's like the whole point is his passion for music.
Right.
Drives the whole movie. So
yeah, it's kind of
this
weird.
This isn't very accurate.
I think that it should say his
lost his purpose.
Yeah, maybe purpose or he's disillusioned with where his life has turned out.
Yeah, something. He's lost his passion for teaching.
Shame on you, IMDb.
Get it right. I don't know who wrote this for you. Maybe Disney sent this over. I don't know.
Probably not.
It's somebody that hasn't seen the movie at all.
He just looked at the poster. He's like, a man walks downstairs.
Yeah.
With the title of the movie behind him.
With a cat. In all the previews, where did this cat come from? I feel like I don't remember seeing anything about a cat.
That was the thing they didn't want you to know. It was the hidden
story. Cat.
The hidden cat?
Yeah.
Maybe it was the Cheshire Cat.
Oh, remember that animated short with the cat? Was it a cat and a dog?
Yeah, it was Cat Bull.
So cute. Yeah.
Yeah. Stay on topic.
Sorry. One of my favorites.
Yeah. Too late now.
From 2020.
Too late.
All right.
We've already done it. So that was it.
That was it. That's all.
We
can jump in.
So we found out this is the third movie from the director.
Pete Docter.
Dr. Pete?
Dr. Pete.
You put it backwards like they do in school. Dr. Pete?
Pete Docter. He gave us Up, Inside Out.
He gave us Up. Yes. For adoption.
No, he did Monsters, Inc.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember if I've seen that movie. Maybe I have. Up, Inside Out.
So the funny thing about this is when I watched this movie, I thought, this is Inside Out, just outside in. It was like just done from a different perspective. Yeah, it was just kind of like a different perspective of if you didn't show what was going on in the brain individually between like sadness, happiness, or whatever, and you just took the brain as it is, it's kind of Inside Out, which isn't a bad thing per se. And if you once you realize all of the movies, you're like, oh crap, these are all just different viewing angles of the same kinds of problems. Like Monsters Inc. is, oh crap, a kid got into the monster space. We need to figure out how to get the kid back. And then I don't remember what Up is, but Up is trying to deal with grief and loss, and trying to like find joy in life.
Yeah.
Inside Out is trying to deal with your emotions and your feelings and navigating that space. And then this is kind of
this is the evolution of Inside Out.
Right. It's like if
this is when that girl turns 46
and turns into a black man who plays jazz.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you boiled all three of them down, this is what soul is.
So
that's the soul of all three movies.
The soul of the soul movies.
Yeah.
The souls of the movies.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to hear some things I read about this movie?
No.
Come on.
Sorry.
Okay. So Pete Docter, we'll start there.
All right.
He gave us Inside Out, obviously.
Right.
He won some awards for that movie.
Yeah.
Because it was amazing.
And it should have.
And then he thought, is this it? Is this, do I just make another one? Do I just keep doing this? And he said that he thought it would feel different. And that's kind of what sparked.
That was something they said in the movie.
That was the spark.
Art imitates life.
Right. So that was the spark, if you will.
Hey.
For the movie. So he started thinking about, so in 2016 was when he started developing the story. And he was contemplating, as they say, the origins of personalities and determinism. So that just got him thinking about. I looked up determinism because I was like, I know what that means. And I thought, wait, I better make sure I know what that means. So the doctrine, basically it's just that everything is chosen and there's no free will. So yeah, I don't know.
So Calvinism.
Sure. Is that what Calvin said?
Calvin Klein.
Yeah.
It's written all over your underwear.
Yeah.
I think so, if I remember right. I'm sure there's some Calvinists that are going to come after me. The one Calvinist that listens to it.
So they spent 2 years developing Joe's character. It's just a long time developing a character. But I felt like from the very beginning, that opening scene, I don't know why, but I thought this is a well-developed character, like already.
Yeah, I knew who Joe was.
You knew exactly who he was from the moment the movie started.
Right.
So anyway, I found that interesting to learn that they spent so much time on it. So a gentleman named Kemp Powers.
What is up with these names?
I don't know. Pete Docter, Kemp Powers. There's a third guy.
If this needs to be trivia. Whereas like the people who helped develop Soul are Dr. Powers.
Pete Docter, Mike Jones, and Kemp.
Mike Jones.
and
Mike Jones. I'd say nope, that's false.
Yeah. Okay, Kemp Powers, co-director, the first African American co-director at Pixar.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
I was like,
So-
were these just white dudes writing about a black, which is
No.
totally fine. I was just kind of like, did they just interview black dudes? And we're like, hey, can you tell me black things?
Yeah. So, well, on that note, they created a culture, what was it called? A culture trust of African American.
Culture trust tree?
Yeah, a culture
I
trust
thought
tree
we were the culture trust tree.
of African American employees at Pixar to help with the movie. And then they had a bunch of consultants, including Herbie Hancock, Terry Lynn Carrington, John Batiste, Quincy Jones, and
Nice.
more. So,
Let me tell you something, man. I'm not good.
who are you?
I'm trying to think. I'm just trying to do a Quincy
Oh,
Jones.
and Questlove. Did I say Questlove?
Yeah, he sounds like
Obviously,
him.
he was in there.
I was going to do a Quincy Jones, but
Oh,
you know,
okay.
Quincy Jones goes off the rails, and I don't want to do it off the rails Quincy Jones.
Don't be off the rails. All right. So, then since I mentioned John Batiste, you'll like this.
Ooh, will I?
You'll like this. They recorded him playing because he, the other guys did the spacey music, I guess. What's their faces?
Atticus
Atticus
and,
and,
Trent Reznor.
Yeah. Okay. Those guys.
Atticus Ross, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then John Batiste was over all the jazz stuff, right? So, anyway, they recorded him playing, and they MIDI recorded. They recorded what he was playing, and
Look
then
at you. Look at the brains on Brad.
and then they had animators who were familiar with music and instruments and knew what they were doing in those regards, but they were able to, so when he's playing the music, when the band is playing, they mapped it all so it's accurate.
Oh,
So
nice.
like if you watched it and
you can
then
learn how to play.
followed what they were playing, it should be what John Batiste was playing. So I thought that's very intricate. Like they were
Yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna do this right.
Right.
Yeah. So
Do it
anyway.
right.
Right. And that's a lot of extra work.
Yes.
I'm just saying,
is.
that's some commitment to what you're doing. Speaking of the work, there is a documentary. Also, there's a bonus features or something. I don't know, somewhere in Disney Plus. They made a documentary of the making of the movie during the pandemic. Because they announced casting this year in early
You mean
2020.
I was going to say last year, you mean?
Oh yeah. I think like March or something. So they obviously didn't record things until all the finishing stuff over the year. And then all the animators are working remote, and
Oh, I thought that.
I think they had people
Why did
go
they
into places.
That's kind of weird that they announced a release for June, and they thought they would get done with everything before.
Maybe they recorded stuff before. I don't know, but this said something about announcements early 2020 of casting. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. So then also the ending, which is a lot of people are like, what's the ending mean? Apparently there was a lot of back and forth on how it should end. And so they didn't even decide how it was going to end until the final screening when they, I guess, finally decided. But there apparently were different camps of people that were like, it should end this way, it should end this way. So here's a couple of the alternate ending ideas that they were deciding between. So in one ending, Joe dies. That's it.
There you go.
Like he dies. He stays dead. And another one, he dies, but we see him become a mentor. He stays in the before place or whatever it was called,
Right.
as a mentor. And then there was a version where he, I guess, was a mentor and then comes back a year later. And then there was a version where we see 22. She's born and we see her in New York, and then they cross paths. Like 22 and Joe cross paths in New York.
Yeah.
And so those are the only endings that I read about. But then they finally just decided that they were going to leave it up to the audience to decide what happened to 22,
Thanks.
I guess.
First, we got a bagger on groceries. Now this.
Right.
Yeah, they'll just do it for the sequel, Soul to Soul.
Sold too. I did think about that. I was like, oh, are they going to make another thing and show us 22, or is 22 going to get a spinoff? Something.
Sure, yeah, might as well get a Disney Plus.
At the
Soul.
very end, that's the very first thing I said when the credits rolled. I immediately said, "Oh, I wanted that closure for 22." I didn't. Well, you know me. I like,
Closure.
yeah, the
Not me.
tied up movies. Most of the time, I like. Well, sometimes it's fine to be open ended, but I felt like I wanted that closure for her. I wanted to know where she ended up. That's all.
She ended up on Earth.
I know.
It's all that matters.
Maybe she ended up in a cat.
It's like, now you know how I feel.
Right.
No,
Okay.
that was only a weird.
Here's my last thing. Okay. Somebody else pointed this out on Instagram, and my Instagram stories. They said, "Hey, did anybody else catch this?" And I was like, "What?" So, have you heard of production babies?
Is that kids being born at work or not at work?
Yeah,
but, yeah.
like during the production of a project, right?
There were 4,000 production babies.
There were several, but apparently in the credits there was a section. You know how they do like there's no stunts in this movie, but they'll do like stunt actors and they'll just list all of them in a big group. Well, it said recent U seminar graduates, and it listed all the baby names. It was cute.
I get it.
I did not catch that in the credits. Thank you very much. I can't remember whose story I saw that in, but
I don't read credits.
It was very cute.
I think giving credit to people is overrated.
We read the credits.
It's about the group. It's about the unit, B.
He doesn't mean that at all.
I do.
Because we read
Q-Tip said it,
several
and
of those
Q-Tip is
credits.
always right.
Because we analyzed the names.
You analyze the names. All right. Let's
That's
get
all
to
I
the
got.
movie.
Okay.
So my first thought was I wrote down this movie should be an ad for music, but I think that this is one of the few movies, and definitely animated pictures. We haven't seen Coco yet. Don't make fun of us.
Right.
We started it at like somebody's house, and then we had to leave.
With Harry, we were watching with Coltrane.
Oh, right. And then we had to leave.
With their friend's kid, and then we had to go.
Yeah. But I feel like this is the best movie I've seen that represents music in a real light, at least for an adult, I guess. Because it was realistic and it wasn't like, hey, I have this dream, and then it's like, oh, 3 days later, oh, I'm playing at Carnegie Hall, or I'm opening,
Right.
I'm playing with the Roots or whatever.
Right.
This is kind of like,
Which it actually depicted that route too, because that kid, his student, was like still very young and was already touring.
Oh yeah,
the
that's
drummer.
true. And so yeah, I guess let's kind of get into that. The kind of like I think you were stating somewhere that I think this movie will. It's kind of funny because I don't really think this is a kids movie.
No, I don't think so either.
Because there was the hell joke, and then there was the jazzing joke, and those are the only jokes that I think kids.
There was the pizza. They would eat the pizza and fly out her butt.
Yeah.
was
Okay.
a
So
kid's-
there's like little things.
Yeah.
But there wasn't like this overabundance of
No, like
silly
cutie
things.
jokes.
There wasn't like in Up you had the Boy Scout who was like silly and funny
And the
all that type
dog.
of stuff. Yeah, I guess the cat part's funny, but yeah, there was nothing that you could just quickly slice out as a kid and be like, oh, I don't know. I haven't talked to any kids about it. Maybe I'm wrong, but
We need to interview
interview kids.
kids about this movie. That would be hilarious to interview Yasmin and Sean.
Yeah,
They would have so many thoughts.
maybe, or they'd just be like,
I feel like
it was
Yasmin
cool.
would.
But I think for many adults, this really brings a lot because I'm a musician. I taught. I've had some students go on to do some cool things. Nothing like insane. Well, I guess what he was doing wasn't insane either. Like his student was playing drums. You know, it wasn't like. But I've had some students go on to like.
But he was doing what Joe wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I didn't teach her a ton, but her name is Mercy, and she was signed to, or still is signed to, why do I want to say DJ Quick? Not DJ Quick. Freaky Tales. What's his name? Dang, Too Short. She was signed to Too Short's label, and she had released stuff, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I wasn't like jealous or anything by any means, but I could definitely see that where you're just like, man, I'm slaving away teaching. I'm doing this thing, and my dream is to have people want to actually be interested in me more than just kind of like 4 likes or 20 likes or, you know, like
Right.
people were actively seeing you in a show and all that type of stuff.
Well, and as a teacher, you're most likely not the one playing the music either. Like he just wanted to play
Right.
all the time, and that's all he wanted to
Right.
do. And so as a teacher, you were instructing others to play, so then your musical time is less than you probably want.
Right. Yeah. You end up instructing people instead of making music.
The first note I made, well, the first real note I made of this movie was that it must be so hard to be a junior high band teacher.
Oh,
Because they're so bad. Like it's not even high school, it's junior high. People just learning, and you're just like, you got to be encouraging. You really have to be.
And the music was so bad. What song was that?
I don't even know. But you have to be a special teacher.
Right.
To get through that. And then anyway, the second note I made was that this is immediately the performer versus teacher dilemma.
Yeah.
That artists.
Most people battle forever.
So what's actually sort of interesting is that they the original idea for the character was for him to be a scientist.
And he wanted to be a musician, but he's a scientist?
No, it was just a scientist was the original idea.
Oh, okay.
So this didn't start out as like a musician story.
Mm-hmm.
And then they realized that the scientists, they just couldn't make it like something people would root for. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just kind of like, I don't know what that is. What's math?
Yeah, so they chose musician because they're like, that's somebody people will root for. That's like people understand that. Like that's
right.
That is, I mean, people dream to be scientists and stuff, but like a musician was more.
Right. Even people who want to be scientists also feel like, man, it'd be cool to be a musician.
Well, or just music is pretty universal.
That's true.
Nearly everyone understands music if you can hear it.
Or feel it.
Or feel it, yeah. The vibration.
Jackson 5s.
Yeah, so I did find that interesting that they were like trying to make him a scientist.
Yeah, I don't know how that would have happened. I was thinking like him when he dies, like right before getting the gig, because I didn't know if he was going to come back. I thought that like they're just gonna be like, oh, what happened to that dude? He's just like never shut up. And it made me think about all the musicians that I've met that have like ghosted me. That I was like, oh, this person's gonna help me out. And then I'm just gonna like, wait, that guy. Oh, I'm like, hey, we met at the concert and we talked, and then okay. And then I'm like, wait, I could have been on tour with you. What? Oh, all right. But yeah, I was just kind of like, I thought, man, that chick's gonna be like, where did he go? He got the gig. He spaced out and played really awesomely, and then was just like, eh.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was. I thought that was going to be the case, because I was really kind of like, well, what's going to happen now that he's dead or in limbo or whatever? But that didn't end up the case.
Yeah, this movie took some unexpected turns, really, and I was surprised that I was surprised.
Yeah,
really, it felt. I don't know if I understood what this movie really was. I guess. Like, I think I had a general idea, but then I was like, oh, I guess I didn't really know.
I thought that I think I kind of knew that he was going to die, because I remember somebody on Twitter got mad because they were like, why is it every time, I don't know if they said, I think it was animated. Every time there's a main character that's African American gets animated, they end up dead or an animal or something like that. And so I didn't know that there was going to be an animal involved in the situation. So it was kind of like, why can't he just be a black man living his life or whatever? And so the only thing I assumed, like, that was another example of another movie where a guy becomes a dog.
Yeah.
So I just thought that he was just going to die. So I thought, oh, he just dies, and then he goes to this other world, and then he's trying to figure out his life in the other world. But then he like dies, and then he's trying to get back. And then I did not that he was going to come back as an animal too.
A cat.
As a cat. And so, it was just
that shocked us both.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay.
What?
And then also I didn't know if he was gonna live again or whatever. Right. So yeah, that was all that stuff was kind of surprising to me.
Well, since we were talking about how it's music, do you want to talk about the music for a second?
Sure.
Do you have thoughts on the music?
What
I thought this was very, very, this is a departure for Pixar. Like the music wise.
Oh yeah.
Like the being in the, what did they call it? I forgot, the before times or whatever. The
yeah, I don't remember.
The great before.
Yeah.
And well, anytime he was traveling outside his body, I guess, it was very um the other kind of music, I don't know, electronic or whatever, like out spacey.
Yeah.
Spacey music.
Well, that's the Atticus and
right.
Resnick.
So it didn't really feel like a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
To me, the music was very integral, I think. I mean, obviously the jazz, that was like the whole point. But like the other music too felt very important, like the way it was used, I guess.
Yeah.
But it made it feel very not a Pixar movie. Like I felt more like I was watching an art movie. Like if this had been done, this could be done translated with people, like live action, just straight translation into a live action movie, and that would be like an art house movie we'd see like over at the Lamley or something, or with the music and the.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyway,
there was a lot of, I don't know how they would do the cat, but whatever. They would use.
It could be a child or something. Like I don't know. Yeah, something else. But that's what made me think of. I was like, this feels like an art film. Like even how it was animated, like it was all very different.
Yeah,
in the Great Beyond or whatever.
Yeah, the movie. I'm trying to think of the last time that, I guess The Princess and the Frog was the last time that at least Disney had heavily used a form of jazz. Jazz, blues, kind of Zydeco, something. It hasn't really been the case. Obviously Disney has always used jazz, but in small like snippets. Like, hey, we're going to New Orleans for 5 minutes. Like,
right. It was more to transport you to a place,
right? Like,
not
I think
so much about the actual music.
Did they use kind of jazz in Mary Poppins? I don't remember. I know they used like a street band,
like drums
kind
and
of
cymbals.
Yeah, it looked like a second line. So maybe that's where I'm getting the idea. But it was very different than most other things. But I don't know. I didn't feel like, oh man, this is weird for Disney. I just thought, like, at least for like Pixar, I always know that they're going to be telling somewhat different stories with very different styles and like objectives, I guess. So this movie's like, oh yeah, it's a Pixar film. We know kind of like what the deal is. Yeah, it's distributed by Disney, so we kind of know what the deal is. But with Pixar films, I know that there's going to be some new ground and territory and boundaries pushed. So, for me, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And also because like I've listened, you listen to The Social Network, you listen to other things that Atticus and Trent have done.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, okay, cool. This is like right up the alley. And it wasn't like, I guess, they've done stuff for so many things, but it wasn't like Up. Like, I don't know where, from my memory, where they would put Atticus and Trent in Up. You know, like, it had whimsical themes. And
it
stuff
fit
like that.
very well.
Right.
I think it was just as much as important to those scenes as the animation.
Right.
Like, it all blended.
And the reason they needed to be there is because it needed to distinguish from his life and reality, and then this weird world that he's trying to navigate, and also 22's trying to navigate. Like, they're both kind of in the space, not knowing. 22's been there for millions of years or whatever. Doesn't understand the space. He just got there. Doesn't understand the space. And then you've got a bunch of Pablo Picasso paintings, like telling you what to do. So also the I don't know, spores.
The bugs out there?
Yeah. No.
The little babies? The infant souls?
Yeah. They were essentially remodelings, I think, of the main chick in Inside Out. But, those are the only things that were kind of like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. But everything else is kind of, especially that weird rat bean counter. Jerry.
Yeah.
So he was like
Terry.
Weird. Oh, I thought his name.
His name was Terry. Everybody else's name was Jerry.
Oh, maybe because he's in accounting.
He's the accountant. His name was Terry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even notice he looked like a rat until you pointed that out. I was like, oh yeah.
Well, yeah, like from the beginning, and then obviously when he showed up,
ears, then he turns.
Right. When he showed up in the real world, he even looked more like a rat, which I think was the weirdest part of the movie in a good way, because like I told you, when he showed up through like the electricity or whatever, I thought, oh man, I started thinking like Mary Poppins, like, oh, they put an animated rat-looking figure in this movie, and I was like, wait, the whole thing
The
is
whole
animated.
thing's animated.
And so I was like, oh, yeah, right.
Well, it's funny because the animation, I mean, the characters are new and different, but the animation feels familiar. But the music felt very new for that to be combined with that.
Yeah.
So it felt like incongruent, but in a good way or something. It was just like dissonant, I guess, to use a musical term.
Yeah, like it's pleasantly more Thelonious Monk than someone who doesn't know how to play the keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I found that interesting.
I think also probably because of the surroundings that they were in. There's not too, I guess, Inside Out was San Diego, but it's not New York City. So the animation's different, but it's also a different place than what most Pixar movies have been. So that makes a difference. Usually it's like Toy Stories have been in cities or whatever, but it's just a generic city.
Oh,
they don't have to model
like a suburb
after.
or Right. This is a very specific place and time. And the animation, which it always gets me because like you were saying, like you forget that it's animated sometimes, like the streets and the maybe not the cars, but like the inanimate objects around often look very real. And then the people and the animals and cars and things look very animated. So then it reminds you, oh yeah, this is not a live action movie. But man, they're getting really, really good.
They've always been good. Like, we watched that thing about, I think it was faces or lighting in Toy Story 1. And that's really the only problem with Toy Story 1. Like, I could still watch Toy Story 1 and be like, oh, wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Especially if you think about it was 1995.
Right.
And it was actually, they were still working on it, but essentially you're talking about 1993, 94 technology.
But then when you compare it to the new Toy Story,
Tombstone Story,
the new Toy Story, and half the time I was like, did they just use real backgrounds for these scenes? Like, what is going on? It looked so real. Or my brain's just easily tricked.
The one thing I thought was really interesting in what did you say? It was before?
The Great Before?
The Great, not, well.
There was the Great Before and the Great Beyond.
Right. So
the Bug Zapper.
I think the funny thing to me was that no one in the history of the world, at least from the way they're telling the story, ever tried to get off of the escalator. And then no one ever tried to fake their way back.
No one was ever successful, I guess.
Yeah, I guess people did try to push their way out or whatever. But I'm just saying, it was very surprising that those sequence of events had never happened in the history of time. And no one ever was like...
You're disappointed in their security fail-safes?
Yeah, I would think somebody would have... if you've ever
Someone other than Terry would be in charge of counting on his abacus?
If you've ever watched Fail Army or been on Reddit, you know that there's at least one person who goes, hey, watch me slide down this escalator. Or, hey, watch me try to jump from the up to the down.
Yeah.
And, you would think that somebody would have, even just for fun, like, hey, I'm dead, so I can't die. And they're like, watch me do this thing.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of funny that this had never happened. They had no protocol for this. And the simple band teacher and not like... Galileo or
nobody wanted
Copernicus
it bad
or somebody
before.
I guess.
Can we talk about the escalator to the Bug Zapper? Like that?
Oh yeah,
I would run from that too. That doesn't sound like a peaceful transition into anything, like the little zap sounds.
It was very Logan's Run.
Yes.
I wonder if they got that idea.
Maybe that's where that came from.
We should make a nod to Logan's Run.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's in the Easter egg video we'll probably watch after this. Maybe. I think it was interesting that, he had really put in the work though. Like he wasn't just like, oh, I want to do this thing, but he actually because a lot of times, well, I guess they showed a montage of him maybe he had put in the work, but not enough work at the time, or just
all his
stars
failed
didn't align.
auditions. Yeah.
And I think that was cool too. I think for kids, that's a great thing to see, which sucks. And you need to find it out at some point. Like, not everybody's going to like what you do and what you have to offer.
Right.
And that doesn't mean you should quit doing something. There's other factors that should maybe tell you when to quit doing something. But just someone telling you like, oh, like we aren't looking for that right now isn't the moment that you throw away your paintbrushes or your guitar or whatever.
Right.
When your wife says she's pregnant with quadruplets, that's maybe when you kind of set it down for a while.
Maybe you pick up the guitar less.
Yeah, less or something, or maybe that be like, I gotta go on tour.
Right.
But yeah, I just thought that was. I thought the realism of it was great, and the way that you have to be prepared when someone calls you for something. You know, there's been so many times where like I was so grateful that I had been jacking around on the computer or messing with this or bought this or that. So when somebody called me and say, hey, can you help this artist? Or hey, can you do this? I don't go, oh, what's that?
Right.
Or I've experienced enough to be able to go, yeah, I can do that. And then spend an hour or two.
It's like a Boy Scout, always be prepared.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you have that thing that you want, that passion or that goal.
Right.
That's what they say, always be working on it, right? Continue to grow. And then when the thing happens, you'll be ready.
Yeah. And then
if the thing happens.
I think also, you know, he was a great, one thing that I think about the psychology of this whole movie was, and I don't know if he realized this, you know, this is a good thing that would be for like part 2 or, you know, a different ending, was how much he learned that he was a great teacher and a great motivator. I think that was implied, you know, if you're paying attention to some degree. Obviously, I don't think kids are going to necessarily get that.
Right.
At least my assumption. But it's like him helping 22, him, the effect that he had on his student that called him up and was like, hey, here's a gig. And then in a way kind of motivating 22 to then motivate one of his students, you know, was really cool to showing 22 that like, hey, you have something to offer like the world. I thought was really nice. And it kind of, that whole this whole accident that he ended up in really, you know, taught somebody and motivated somebody who had some of the greatest teachers in the world at their disposal, but was just kind of like, this isn't useful. But then this guy who feels like he hasn't done what he wanted to do in his life comes along and then just kind of like motivates this this soul to kind of go on and actually become somebody. Yeah. It's spark.
Well, they called it a her, didn't they?
They said she once.
Oh, okay.
But it was mainly 22.
Oh, okay. 22. So 22
It has
spark.
no body.
All right. Okay, fine. Yeah, so that was kind of like the point, I guess. Like the end of it. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of themes in there, or I mean, it all boiled down to one thing, but that was his journey, I guess, and that was one reason they said they made the cat, because that allowed the vehicle for him to view his life from a different perspective.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like that would have been harder if it was, I don't know what they were planning to do originally, but
maybe
one of the three guys
down from that circle or something.
Yeah, but this gave an easier way to observe,
which would make it pretty much in and out, because that's what they were doing.
Inside
they were viewing, in and out with Kevin Kline. But yeah, it would be him viewing through the thing and like, no, don't say that.
Right.
And it would be the same kind of movie.
Yeah. So this way, it was a cat, but he was there and able to observe.
Right.
Not really interfere, but be able to, whatever. So, but that was, I guess, and he learned it like way at the end, which I guess is when you do. But
when you die is when you learn. Oh,
right. So he had this thing that he thought he always wanted, right? Musicians typically think, I'm going to be in a rock band. I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be whatever, the best cello player on the planet. And I'm going to play whatever.
It's called cellist.
Right. Whatever the pinnacle thing is.
Yeah.
Right. You think your whole life, like that's, if I could just have that. And then when you get it, not everybody, but some people, I think they've been through so much along the way that things shifted. They just didn't realize. They just were too focused, like when they were in the before or whatever. And that guy was telling them like, oh, there's the lost souls. Oh, there's the people in the zone.
Yeah.
Which is the same. And he was like, they're kind of the same because they're both more focused on one thing that they don't appreciate the present and they're not in their life.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was interesting because like the zone is kind of like this thing like that is celebrated, like, oh, they're in the zone and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they equated it to lost souls, which I get. Like the singular focus was the point, is like when you're lost, you're just so focused on what you can't see or what you don't have, or your search for purpose, I guess, is your singular focus. And then when you're in the zone, your like Joe's singular focus was to play. And so he was missing the fact that he was having an impact on these terrible student players, and like he was changing lives, and he had helped his student learn well enough and play well enough to be able to go on tour. And like he actually had a very real impact in this world.
Right.
But he missed all of that because his singular focus. So, then at the end, he's like, oh, hey, I should look around. And, one scene that was really impactful, kind of in this same vein, was when they went to the barbershop.
Yeah.
And he learned as a cat more about his barber than he ever had in all the years going to this guy, because he had never asked any questions. All he talked about was jazz.
Right.
So the guy was like, yeah, cool, jazz is fine. But he was like, cool, I'm glad we talked about more than jazz. Like, you actually asked me about my life. And I was able to share with you that my passion was becoming a veterinarian, but that didn't work out. But I still love my life. I love what I'm doing, which is fine too.
Yeah, they both learned something, because he didn't know anything about his barber, and then 22 was only thinking about the purpose, because that was kind of like the whole goal, like find your spark, your spark. And it's like, I think that kind of bucks against the whole predetermined idea that I think some people feel like this movie was pushing, which is like, yeah, you can find your spark, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen.
Or that's
what's
your
be
purpose.
The full, but I'm saying, like, even if that's not necessarily going to be the full thing, of your life, your whole life isn't being a barber, and your whole life isn't whatever, being a veterinarian. And there's joy to be had in every aspect of life. So I think they both kind of learned from that one instance, and of the other ones, that like, oh, it's what do they say? The sum total or whatever of whatever is just like, 22 was just focused on, well, I don't like this and I don't like that, and this isn't blah blah blah, and I can't be this, and then it's just like pizza, like that's cool, like, oh wow, okay, did they have ice cream? I can't remember, but just different things of. Like when the wind from the train was blowing up from the grates, all the different little things about life that kind of can take you out of, they can take you out of the zone, and sometimes they're annoying, but sometimes they're really great because you haven't been looking around, or you're so focused that you become sad, kind of like 22 did. 22 was so focused
on finding her purpose.
Finding the purpose, that they ended up a lost soul.
Right.
And it's just like really being able to straddle, kind of like the shaman sign twirler guy. He was able to straddle both. Right. And also he didn't have the quote unquote best job. He had, he was a sign twirler. But he was able to be lost in that, and then also come out and go on with his life, and also help people. It wasn't like they said, hey, can you help us? We've switched bodies. And then the sign twirler guy goes, sorry, man, I'm twirling signs in the zone. I can't help you. He was like, sure, I'll come out of that and almost get fired and help you guys. So
can I just tell you that I feel like I relate so hard with 22, which I think is like, I feel you probably relate with Joe as a musician.
I relate with that guy playing the guitar.
I relate with 22 on several levels, I think, because like her focus was like, I relate to the feeling like you have to find that spark, and the spark translates to purpose. Like that's what the whole movie, they were equating spark and purpose, right? And then at the end, we find out that's not the case at all. And so I feel like a lot of times people can feel like they have to find that thing that they're good at or they're super passionate about. And if they don't have that thing, they don't have a purpose. Like then they just feel lost because they're like, you look around at other people and like, oh, why do they have so much passion for this one thing? Why are they so good at everything like you and all this? Like you have all that. And so for me, sometimes I felt like I could feel like that. I would get a little bit sad because I was like, I don't have like this singular passion that I just want to do this all day, every day. And that's all I want to do with my life. But I do enjoy staring.
Pizza.
I do love pizza. I do love watching leaves fall out of trees. Like I like the simple things, you know? And she was like, what about walking? I'm great at walking. And I'm like, I don't know. I triple that. So maybe I'm not the best at walking, but I do love staring at the clouds. You know what I mean? Like I think that in and of itself is like a benefit. Like that's a talent maybe.
You were born in the wrong time.
I know.
You should have been born in the 1700s where you just go out and then you put your dress down and you go, isn't it beautiful?
Right. I put daisies in my hair and stare at the clouds. But I mean, I think there's something to be said for people who can just appreciate. You can look around and see those things.
Yeah.
And appreciate them for what they are. And then like be able to just be still in moments. I'm bad at being still. Really? Like when we go on vacation stuff, I can't just sit there and...
You are bad at that.
Look at things, but I could go to the beach and put my feet in the water and stand there all day. Like, I can't sit on the sand. I'm not good at that. But if I can put my feet in the water, I could stare at the waves all day. So anyway, I felt like I related with 22 and that whole dilemma of like feeling like you need to have this singular passion and purpose. Like, I feel like my purpose is like, and probably for most people, like our purposes are multi-layered. Like it's not just one thing. Like we do different things. We're here for multiple reasons.
Yeah. Different purposes for different things.
Yeah. And also, I will be using jazzing. I feel like that is going to become a part of my vernacular. So that's just like living life, right?
Yeah.
That's what I feel. I'm like,
you're jazzing.
I'm jazzing. So.
Yeah. The Lost Souls thing, I was thinking like for, you know, what I grew up with and, you know, the work ethic that I used to kind of live by. Was like, oh, I stay in the lab, like constantly working, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have, you know, obviously the term now is self-care. And so a lot of people have kind of become hip to, you know, taking time out to do different things and not just like, I make music all the time or all I do is dance and all I do is this. Like you need some time to be able to refresh and recoup. So I think, you know, for him, it would be interesting to see what happens going forward, how he's able to... because what was it before he turned himself in? He like kind of just played on the piano, just free and not thinking about anything. You know, he just kind of, I can't remember what part of the movie.
Oh, that was at the end. So after he played at the gig and he realized he was disappointed.
Yeah.
He thought he was going to feel a certain way. Then he went home and I think he was reflecting on, remember in his pockets, he had all the things that 22 had collected.
Yeah.
So then he was like, I need to help 22. So he starts playing so he can get into the zone to transport himself there so then he can hop out of the bubble and run around. Because I was wondering, I was like, how is he going to get back to 22? Like this, how is this going to work?
Yeah, you know, I think that's something that a lot of people have kind of learned. And, you know, it's fine if you want to stay in the zone all the time, but it's kind of, the other thing I thought about was this is also like a Freaky Friday. And I remember when that started, I was like, is this a Freaky Friday? I'm like, you know, it's not complete because one's a cat, but you know, it's still Freaky Friday.
They Freaky Friday a little.
And it's also, it's kind of like big actually, because 22 has actually never been alive. So it's like big times 7.
Right.
It's a big.
Yeah.
You know, because they couldn't walk at first and all that type of stuff. But the funny thing, you know, you mentioned about how he he was really disappointed after playing the gig. And I think the thing that I thought about is a lot of people don't realize the green room isn't all it's made up to be. Like, I know for myself, like doing stand up, I thought, oh man, it'll be cool. We'll be in the green room, and
Right.
you're like, oh, this is the manager's office,
Right.
and you gotta sit in the room with the man. It's just like
Right.
you and the manager, and you're just kind of like,
and there's just
hey.
a stool to lean on.
yeah.
Or
Or there's like
you-
a really old couch.
Or there's no green room at all, and you're just in the back
Yeah,
corner
you're
of
just
the
standing
room.
in the back, and somebody was like, "You were really funny," or like, "Can I get nachos?" And he's like, "I'm the opener, I don't work in the kitchen," And then like we've watched not documentaries, but like films, and you look and you like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Like, Katy Perry's performing, but they do up the room, but it's literally a space underneath the stadium that's just cinder blocks.
Right.
It's just cinder blocked rooms.
Right.
Like we were at Mandalay Bay for this thing, and we were just in a room. It was just like looked like a kind of a conference room underneath the stadium. It wasn't anything fantastic. Like your experience as a listener and as a concert goer is way more fun than like being on stage and
Right.
performing is fun. But everything before is just kind of like, I got to wrap these cables, or
Right.
or someone's asking me a question, or
Or it's not really the
whatever.
green room. It's like who you're back there with, maybe.
Yeah.
Like you and if you're in a band, like you're all together, or maybe it's like you and the other comedians,
yeah.
like all hanging out. Like
Well-
it's the people. It's not like the, because
Yeah,
you
I
kind of
guess
have
what
that
you're saying,
idea,
the-
right? Like this,
Right.
like the green room at, what was it? The Late Show or,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, not the Late Show.
what was it?
Yeah, Late Show with David
Tonight
Letterman.
Show. Yeah, Late
Late
Show.
Show. Yeah, it was still Late Show.
And we kind of buzzed through that green room, and it was just a tiny little
Thanks,
nothing
Eddie Brill.
space.
Got us in there.
Yeah, it was a tiny little
Um,
nothing space, and it had like a jar of, I
Yeah.
don't know what those lemon
It
heads
was
or
just,
something.
yeah, it was
and,
like lemon heads. And it was a
cookies, I
tiny
don't know.
room. And I was thinking, Jim Gaffigan and John Malkovich and Tony Stewart, the race car guy, I'm like,
Yeah.
were they all just in that room?
Right.
That tiny room?
Right.
probably
Well,
all
it's more
hot.
like you got to pay attention to be around the people.
Right. And so, yeah, I think that's a great point too. It's not really the situation that is the amazing part. It's the relationships. Like, I'm sure, like, for example, I'm a Chili Peppers fan. I'm sure the Red Hot Chili Peppers aren't like, remember the green room? And, I'm sure there's some amazing green rooms somewhere. But like, remember the
Yeah.
green room in Helsinki? They're like, no, remember that time we played the awesome show, we had fun, and then we got off stage and we hugged, and then Flea said something ridiculous, and then John farted, and it was like, and then we all laughed. Like,
Right.
that's the thing that you remember.
Right.
You don't remember like all this other nuance. And I think that's a hard thing for somebody who's been waiting so long to do something, that you think
It's
your
so built up.
perception of what's going to happen
Right.
is like, and what really actually happens can be two different things. It may be something that, and I think, I remember the great Roseanne Barr, if you said that 20 years ago, but she had mentioned that, or was it Rosie O'Donnell? One of them mentioned that like they thought once they got successful that they would feel accomplished, but it's just kind of like, no, it's just the same thing.
Right.
You're just pushing it further up the hill, and also you've spent all that time worrying about all sorts of things and being broke that you couldn't really focus on, like, and all the cool like little things that happened on the way. So it's a
That
hard.
was that reminded me of a takeaway. I guess Tina Fey said about this movie that it's a good reminder that life isn't defined by achievements or attainment. That was it. It's about all the other stuff that we're talking about, but
as
it's
they
not
said,
about that. What's
Right.
the achievement.
as they said before this, we did a recap because we didn't just see a movie. It was 2 days ago, but when they were saying is like, oh, don't follow your dreams, says the people who follow their dreams and made this movie.
Right.
But it's always kind of funny when
All these successful animators.
right when Tina Fey is like, oh, it's not about the accomplishments. It's like, well, yeah.
But even still, because this whole thing was sparked when
No, I know.
won the
There's
Oscar.
different
So,
levels.
yeah.
Like we always talk about wealth. There's different levels. Like you're going to be worrying about money in different ways, no matter how much
Right.
money you make.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just messing
Yeah.
around with the idea of that. But I think when you're lower than somebody, it is comical when you're just kind of like, what?
Yeah.
Like no one's ever inked, you know, even getting ripped like Dave Chappelle was talking about how he got ripped off by Comedy Central. And I'm like, even in your ripoff, you were very successful. Like
Right.
you lost millions of dollars and you still ended up successful. So like from a poor wannabe's point of view, you know, you're kind of like,
Yeah.
like I'm side with Dave, but still I'm also
Right.
like, it worked out, you know, like all these people were like, we were fleeced out of millions in
So
our
I think
contract.
I guess it's just the bar changing.
Yeah.
For
it just
depending
moved-
where you are,
it's
the bar moves.
Yeah. It's like,
It's kind of all the same
it's-
feelings, I
it's-
guess, but the bar is moving.
it's numbers versus percentage. I think the percentage is always the same.
Yeah.
Because when you go,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
it jumped 33%, but it went from $1 to
Right.
$1.33.
Right.
And it's just like the percentage is different, but now it's like 1.1 million to 1.3 million,
Right.
which is when you look at the numbers is insane.
Right.
But percentage-wise,
Percentage-wise.
it's the same pain and hurt
Right.
and worry and all that.
So
stuff.
is this what we're talking about? Okay, so the story with the fish. You remember she said there was a young fish who was like, I want the ocean. Tell me, how do I get to the ocean?
Yeah.
Where's the ocean?
Right.
And the other fish was like, dude, you're in the ocean. And then the fish said, no, this is water. I want the ocean. So I guess is that what that is? Like, he wanted more, but he didn't realize what he was in, like what he had. He was
Right.
already there.
He was, yeah, it was like, yeah, because he got, you know, he got the gig. He did well at the gig. And then, you know, it's understandable to have those feelings,
Mm-hmm.
but also you got to look at it like this is something you've been wanting all your life
Right.
and you now have it. And I don't know why he didn't realize that this would just need to be a cycle. Like as a musician or an actor, no, really a musician, actors get to change roles, but Chili Peppers are playing essentially the same 20 songs over and over again. And they get to modify them, add new songs here and there. But it's just like, if you look up Thelonious Monk, you're going to get the same songs. You're going to get Ruby, My Dear.
Right.
You're going to get Brilliant Corners, all
Right.
that stuff. But I think, you know, that was kind of weird. But I think that's a thing that people struggle with is like, I thought this was going to turn out a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, that's what this is, you know. And it's kind of like I was saying, like I've met, you know, people who are on, most of the people I've met were on the rise. And I was thinking, oh, maybe they could take me with them.
Right.
But it was like, no, this is really just, this is what it is. You met somebody, you had a connection, and they promised something and they got too busy to deliver, or they thought you sucked and they moved on with their lives. And like, yeah, that's just what it is. You know,
Right.
It's like, that's a part of the process. And I think for him, he had to think kind of like, this is an opportunity and let me just work this opportunity, you know, instead of being like, you know, like for example, I wanted to like tour with ZZ Ward.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of the stuff and all that. And I wanted to help write in some way with ZZ Ward, but that wasn't the case. But should I have been like, why, blah, this should be this, that, and the other? It's like, no, like this is a good gig. You're learning a lot. You're growing. People like the work you're doing. Enjoy it and not be like, well, I should be here. Or I should be there. And it's like, no, you're where you need to be.
Right. We're not ever like promised or entitled to things
Right.
just because we're good at them.
Right. Or
Like-
you just said you wanted to. And so the person
Right.
goes, oh, since you said you wanted to, I
Right.
guess I have
Right.
to.
And then I think also you just kind of appreciate what you're in, and rather than judging it,
Yeah.
like, oh, this should have been different,
Right.
or this should feel different. I guess you just kind of oh, well, that's something I learned about myself.
Right.
Like I thought I wanted to learn to play guitar. I don't. It hurts my fingers. Like, okay, you
Right.
know, this and that. Because I think I've gone through that too. Like, just because I wanted to be able to do something doesn't mean I was going to be good at it or really enjoy it when I did it. So
Right.
then you kind of just learn, oh, okay. And rather than beat yourself up about it or throw a fit or, you know, whatever,
Right.
maybe you just kind of acknowledge what's happening and take what you can from it and move forward.
I think that's the thing is like he has the right to feel that way
Mhm.
and he has the right to continue or to stop. Like
Right.
there's no problem in that. But I think if he's going to continue, he has to look at it like, wow, I was playing piano by myself and teaching kids. Now I get to play possibly Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think they were doing multiple shows.
Yeah. Well, she said at least come back tomorrow.
Yeah, so it's
We'll
like
do it again.
you're going to do multiple shows, and you're going to learn something from her. You're going to have intimate conversations with her, the rest of the band. You're going to grow in some sort of way. You're going to become a better player, and you're going to exercise your chops with other people, which is extraordinary. Like to be able to have to be jazzing with people.
Right.
Because that's when people grow the most. And I always tell people like, why can't I be as good as so-and-so? I'm like, well, first of all, you're 20. They're 45 years old. They've been touring since they were 20. Just think about playing a show 5 nights a week for 300 days
Right.
for 25 years. You are probably not going to get to that level unless you get in a touring band.
Right.
And do it for 25 years. So it's like, if he has this opportunity to tour and do these shows, that's amazing. And if the weekend ends and she goes, that was really awesome. You know, we're going to go on a national or international tour and we're going to pick up somebody. We have a guy in Switzerland that's amazing. And when we come back to America, maybe we'll call you.
Mm-hmm.
He can still say, I played with so-and-so.
Yeah.
So when he shows up and says, I play with so-and-so, like whenever I need to like wow somebody or show somebody like, oh no, I've like been trusted with some stuff. I throw out a big name. You know the name. I throw out the big name.
Yeah.
I try not to throw it out, but when I need to, I throw it out. So people go, oh, okay. Well, maybe, like, why are you charging that much? I'll tell you why.
Right.
So I think, that opportunity was huge.
So I haven't really thought about this yet, but I forgot. So like this had this open-ended ending.
Yeah.
Right. So we can decide for ourselves, I suppose.
Wait, are you wanting to talk ending? Because I was thinking of something else before you ending.
Oh, okay.
Remember the ending. Are you going to remember?
Yeah, I'll remember.
Okay. I wanted to talk about the mom. We haven't talked about the mom at all.
Okay.
And her thing. I thought, it wasn't as crazy as Crazy Rich Asians, but it was definitely close.
The mom?
Yeah, because she was totally against it. She was against in all forms of him, like living his dreams or whatever.
Well, that felt very kind of typical to me.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like,
especially when we learned further the backstory of his father.
But I'm saying, like, not even being joyous that your son got a gig with someone he idolizes. Like,
yeah,
I
guess she got there, but also he's. I guess there's layers to it because he's 46. I think is what I read. The character is like 40s, and I guess you want more for your kid, right? So I guess she was probably placing her struggle on him, or his father's struggle,
right?
And then you don't want your kid to struggle. So she was like, "Hey, you get to play music, you get to teach, you get to earn a good living. Like, just do that. Stop running around. Like, you have benefits now. Like, I don't want to have to be doing your laundry all the time."
Yeah.
So, I guess I kind of understood.
Yeah, but
also even their relationship needed the out of body because he hadn't really been truthful with her or hadn't really spoken his feelings fully to her and needed the out of body, needed 22, or to communicate through 22, I guess, because I guess it was his words, but
it was kind of like Wonder Woman 1984. It was. It was someone else's body.
Inhabiting the body, yeah. Oh, we just watched 2 body snatcher movies.
One was consensual. Well, no, neither of them were consensual. Yeah,
he wanted in his own body.
One of them had a way worse outcome. But.
Right. So,
yeah, that's funny.
But there was stuff that needed to be worked through in that relationship too.
Yeah.
He hadn't fully been aware of his relationship with his mother.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they needed to talk through that, but I just think the idea of, being frustrated with your child, but also being supportive.
Right.
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is it was,
And
she
did-
could have just done it. I don't know if she had if she uses the computer or has a web enabled phone, but she could have just looked the lady up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, like you could just easily look up and be like,
Right.
oh snap, you're going on tour with this person.
Right.
Like, oh wow, that's a
I
huge
wonder
accomplishment.
too also if there was like a pattern of him like making grandiose statements about what he was going to do and then
That's
nothing
true. All
ever
those-
happening. Because at the barbershop, the dude was like ragging on him hard. Like, oh yeah, sure. You're going to go play this gig.
Oh yeah.
Like wouldn't believe him and was like, it's never going to happen. Blah, blah, blah.
What did he say to that dude? What did 22 say to him? Oh, he's just mad because of his own shortcomings in life.
Yeah.
Like, man, you didn't have to go that deep.
Yeah. I don't like that they traumatized that guy.
He was talking a lot of trash. And they were in a barber
I guess
shop.
so, yeah.
Come on.
So anyway, no. When he went out and then
Oh, the
he
rat.
fell through the thing.
The rat guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he like temporarily.
Well, he didn't mean to.
No, I'm just saying. Like I felt bad
Wait,
for
was
him.
was he profiling?
No,
He was just gonna go, no.
no.
No, he wasn't.
He heard the voices coming.
Yeah.
He didn't. Anyway, whatever. So, but anyway, so maybe there was a pattern we didn't know about, and so defund
the Garys.
Obviously, the Gary
What
Terry.
is it, Terry? Defund the Terrys.
Obviously, I want him to be supported by his mom.
Do
But
you?
maybe there was like but I can see her side.
Yeah.
I can see her
I
side.
know. I'm just saying.
We cannot be you,
Me?
Joshua, with
What do me?
super supportive
What do me?
parents supporting your dreams. I feel like that's an anomaly.
I don't know. Your parents support your dreams.
Yeah.
They say, get back up, get back on that
That's
one
true.
weel.
Yeah, get back on the one wheel. Yeah. But
Yeah.
but I feel like
I know.
it's
Not
a very
everybody's
common
parents are
refrain for musicians, I would assume. Actually, or maybe it's just perpetuated in movies. Maybe there's a lot more supportive parents out there than movies would have us believe.
Yeah, they're like, look at all these bullies, and then we're
Right.
like, there's not really many bullies.
Right.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know too many people. Actually, I don't talk to people too much about their parents' views
On what they're doing.
on what they're doing in
Yeah.
music. That would be an interesting thing to see. Like
Chandler's
how their parents,
got pretty supportive parents, I think.
yeah, very much so. I think they bought up like when he first did that show. They like bought all
Yeah.
that stuff for him.
Oh,
Yeah.
but it was nice to see that she came to the show.
Right.
Like they had that
at the end.
conversation, they had a nice breakthrough, and then she did come with her friend.
Yeah,
That was nice.
that was really cool. So she got to kind of see the whole thing go
Mhm.
down. I was very happy to hear Questlove in the movie. When I was like, who is that guy? That guy sounds familiar. I was like, oh, it's Questlove. The drummer is the drummer.
Oh yeah.
So, I think it was great that they, kind of, I'm trying to think of other things that, like, I wonder, like in Coco, or because I'm thinking of other music things, and also with minority groups, like involving the people in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And going to the people that really have a pulse on different stuff. So like you said, like going in and talking to Herbie Hancock is like the smartest thing ever,
Right.
talking to Quincy Jones. It's like amazing. These people were in the mix of the biggest commercial parts of jazz. And then Batiste, which is now like the new torchbearer,
Right.
like if this was done in the 90s, they would have got Wynton Marsalis, or Branford Marsalis. But now, John Batiste is kind of like that guy. And so, it was cool to be able to have Questlove bring in, his elements and his extraordinary knowledge of music was cool. And, I think obviously in a way, like they would do that, but it was just kind of cool that they didn't just go like, oh, we'll just like make a movie about jazz and we'll just kind of like wing this or do what we think jazz is. We'll have Ryan Gosling,
Oh boy.
but still a good movie. I liked La La Land, but yeah. So what were you saying about the end?
Oh, well, since it was open-ended, I was going to ask, what do you think he did? Like, did he continue with the gig? Did he go back? Did he take the full-time teaching job? Did he give up on music altogether and just stare at that tree? Like, and did he die 12 minutes later, falling in another manhole?
That would be funny. The funny thing is when he came back, he didn't learn his lesson. He was still running around them streets. But I think he tried to figure out balance in all ways.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing I hope he learned, is that you need to be a musician. You need to be present in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's something that I like when you were talking about something about being tired and being up, and I was like, I barely remember anything from 2005 to 2011. Like, I was doing so many things. I was like learning Flash. I was doing stand-up. Right. I was working at this place. I was all this stuff, you know? And so like, I was as present as I could, but you know, just being present in the moment, being able to soak it in, but whenever it's time to work, it's time to work. And then also knowing that if you have a gift, whether you like it or not, like you can use it. You don't have to use it. Like you don't have to have a full-time job as a teacher, but you can teach in some sort of way. Like I'm not really teaching anymore, but it's another way I'm kind of teaching. And I still have some students, but you know, there's balance that can be had. And I think, I forgot what the book, Daily Habits, I think it's what it's called. And they write about different, very prominent people and all sorts of art, and what their days were like. And many of them were teachers. Yeah. They would get up. Some of them would like drink till noon, teach from 1 to 3. Then they would go to the market, and they would be jazzing with their friends, like cracking jokes, smoking cigarettes till 6. And then from 6 to 2 in the morning, they would write or paint or whatever. And everybody had their different schedules. So I think a lot of people think they need to be like one thing. And if they're not that, they're going to fail. And I don't think that's necessarily true unless you try to do just a million things and you want to be great at all of them. Like it's just not going to happen.
And I just realized that something that feeds into that is the, what's the saying? It's like those who can't teach.
Those who can't do teach.
Right. Those who can't do teach, which already builds in a negativity.
Right.
Like teaching is the sad backup plan.
Right.
Which teaching is a noble profession. Like
right. It's kind of like, it's kind of like saying like, oh, you're like, crying like a little girl
I'm a
or
teacher.
Whatever.
Right.
So it's like, oh, it puts this thing of like, oh, girls are weak. It's like, oh, if you're a teacher, you haven't done anything.
Like, oh, I went to music school. Oh, okay. Are you a musician? You're like, yes. Like, where do you play? I teach. Like, you know, like it feels like that can be your career plan. Like,
right.
That doesn't mean you failed.
Right.
Even if it ends up being your backup plan, it still doesn't mean you failed. Right. You know, it's just.
It's better than most people.
It's fine. Yeah. You're in the field you want to be in. Like.
Yeah. Like, remember that time I met that girl we graduated with, and she was working at the Gap, and I was working at Eisenberg's, and I was like, you know, I wasn't working, you know, at the time, the Richards Group, that's what everybody wanted to work at in Dallas. I don't know. I had mixed feelings about that place, but I knew if I worked there, everybody would think I was cool. So that's kind of the reason to work there. But it was like, oh, you know, I'm not up here. And I wanted to be a copywriter, but so I didn't even become that. But I was talking to that chick, and she was just like, yeah, I was looking for jobs and I couldn't find anything. And she's like, and I'm still here at the Gap. And I thought this was going to be like a temporary thing. So it's kind of like, you know, it's like, there's nothing wrong with being able to be adjacent or in the same space of what you wanted, because some people don't even get that.
Right.
Like some people get a music degree and then they end up becoming a personal trainer, and they're only doing it because like, this is what I ended up in and I need to pay my bills. And so it's like weird for you to be like, I'm just a teacher.
Yeah.
And this sucks. I'm supposed to be a big time musician. It's like, well, you could be, and there's nothing wrong with any of those jobs, but it's like you could be working at Starbucks, which has nothing to do with music except for it plays out of the speaker above you. So
yeah, I guess it's about finding the opportunities in the situations you have. So
yeah.
Okay, so he learns balance.
What did you say?
What happened at 22?
What happened at 22? She becomes a baby. She poops herself, or he, or whatever.
Yeah,
they poop themselves. They probably fall on their head a couple of times
Yeah.
and then grow up to throw McDonald's out the window of their
Yeah.
car.
Oh, well, we forgot. We didn't really talk about this. How they said that the spark wasn't really the thing. It wasn't really about like, oh, you love piano. It was about,
It
oh,
was
you're
literally a spark.
yeah. It was like, oh, you're ready to live now.
Yeah.
Like you found, I guess, your reason to live. Like you found the not reason to live, but
It's the thing
desire.
that sparks you. Like
Yeah.
the thing that like I think their spark was just that there's a lot of cool things to experience in life.
Yeah, that there were experiences out there.
Right. And I think
they were like, oh, I want that.
the program was focused on one thing.
Right. I guess that was their way
was
of
like-
trying to get the
Right.
sparks.
And it's like the whole encompassing of life
Right.
is the spark. But for some people, like for me, I feel like music and entertainment and all that
It's a
stuff
specific
is
spark.
a spark for me. Like I can jazz with people that love sports, but
yeah.
I'm
I
not going
can't.
to get as lit. I'm going to be like, oh, cool. And I'm like, oh, he's a cornerback. Like, oh, that's cool. I'm excited about how you're excited.
Right.
But like if I sit with another musician and we start talking about music, then I just go, I'm going
Light
insane,
up.
you know? So,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that everything else, I'm just sad and gloomy. You know,
Right. Yeah.
it's a spark.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
do
Well,
you-
I think
Yeah.
think that it's the same thing. Like I would hope that he learned to balance, learn to appreciate what he was doing, I guess, to not overlook the impact he was having and to really take it in. Because I guess I forgot he even had like an old man client, it seemed like, or an old man student at the house, like individual lessons,
oh yeah.
like piano lessons and stuff like that. Like you can touch a lot of lives. And so, yeah, I would think that he would be mindful, be aware of what his actual joy is
Right.
and not his perceived joy, I guess. But I think he still played out the weekend. I think he still played
Oh yeah.
the gig, but definitely took the full-time position teaching.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
I think the thing about the gig is like, that's the funny thing to me is I would have never said that to her face. I would have gone home and thought that and then worked through that.
Yeah.
But I think everybody probably thinks that. You
Yeah.
get into a job or whatever, and then you go, wait, is this it? I'm gonna work here for 25 years or 45 years, and then that's it? Like I thought there was gonna be more than this. I thought like,
Right.
you know, like I think about high school movies and whatnot. And probably when you get into high school, you're like, I thought high school was gonna be like the dance and the this and that. And you're like, they boiled down 4 years into an hour and a half movie
Right.
of people whose parents are probably making like $1.5 million a year.
Right.
That is not your city.
They have all the heightened experiences.
Right. No one has to work a second job. Like everybody's focused on being a part of the
Right.
prom committee, and like nobody has time
Nobody's
for
got
that.
busted cars.
Right. It's
Yeah.
just, so your perception and
Yeah.
the reality of it is it's like two different things. So you just have to reconcile with that and be like, nope. The average income of my city is $35,000. We're in a Rust Belt town, and we're gonna have a prom with a dripping ceiling.
Right.
That's what it
In
is.
a barn.
I did go to some dances in a barn.
You did?
Well, it was Pee Wee.
Oh, the party barn? Oh.
No, I never did anything. But Pee Wee football.
I've never been to the party barn. There's a
Oh,
barn in
neither
our
have I.
hometown
Yeah.
that was called the party barn. And I guess
Yeah.
it was built sort of near the high school. And I guess people rent out for birthday parties or something. I don't know.
I remember somebody had a party there.
I never got invited. If there were parties there, I don't know. I didn't get invited.
Didn't go. I don't know if I was invited, but I didn't go.
Yeah.
If I was invited or not.
You just know about the party barn.
The pretty bird.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
Well, what do you want to
Wow.
guess the tomatoes? Let's do tomatoes. What do you give it? How do you rate this movie?
82.
I will say the thing we did watch right before recording, they were talking about how this was not the emotional, like up and inside out. Like I think
Yeah.
inside out, I got teared up and it was very emotional, obviously, because it was all about emotions. But I will say I agree. This movie did not pull at heartstrings
Mm-hmm.
as much as it makes you think.
Yeah, I think this is a slow burning introspective
Yeah.
movie. I don't think it's trying to gun you down like most of the other Pixar films with emotions.
Yeah.
And I think also for people like me or people, I don't know, who are like pursuing something, it probably hits harder than other
Right.
people.
Right.
But I don't think it hits like deathly hard.
Deathly hard. Okay.
Like I feel like Big Fish like hit me really hard. I was like,
don't even
oh.
remember that movie.
I just remember watching it like, oh, because that was around
Didn't
the time.
hang with you.
That was when I was doing stand up,
me.
and I was thinking
Oh.
we should move to New York. And then I saw that movie, and I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll move to New York and just be like an absolute nobody. And so
fail. Okay, so you give it an 80. What'd you say?
2.
2? Why do you hate this movie? People loved it.
Oh, I forgot it was. But I'm saying I forgot it was a Pixar movie. Like I feel like I've always said about like Chappelle and like a lot of people, a lot of comedians, different things. Like Chappelle could like drop his pants, take a dump, and then just walk off stage and people will clap. Not because he's not amazing.
So, yeah,
I'm just saying like
so you think
there's
Pixar can just do whatever.
There's a tax. It's like Nike or Louis Vuitton. Like if somebody else made the shoes, they'd be $75. Louis Vuitton makes it, it's $3,000.
I think Pixar can fail. Or that they can.
I think they can, but it'd be very hard. Like you would have to do a series of missteps. Like you would need to do like, what was it last year? That French film that was advertised as like the girls in skimpy outfits and whatever.
Oh,
when Save the Children was happening. I'm like, you guys are not paying attention to reading the room. So Pixar would need to do like a series of stupid missteps for a movie to fail.
Okay, so the tomato was 95% and the audience score is 89%.
Nice.
Which that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would give it a 90.
Yeah, I don't put in the 90s, but it's good.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 90s is just kind of like, man, that like was whatever. Like for this, like the emotion was high, and I was kind of like, So
for this, you felt that way?
No, that's how that would cause a 90 for a movie like this.
Well, I think I like that it made me think, but didn't make me cry. Like I like that it didn't have that. All of that emotion. Yeah. I do think it felt like it could have used a little bit more. Like I see that point.
Just a dash.
Just a dash. Emotion. Yeah. Just a little bit. But we didn't talk about cast or anybody. Not really.
We don't care about them.
Kind of wasn't the point, I guess. I don't know.
So quickly, I'll say
think they did fine.
I didn't even know Jamie Foxx was in this movie. We would listen to the podcast about them making this movie a little bit and kind of like their backgrounds and different things. So I'll quickly say Jamie Foxx didn't sound like Jamie Foxx, which is interesting. This is the most un-Jamie Foxx movie Jamie Foxx has done. He actually played a character. True.
Yeah.
He didn't play like Jamie Foxx being whatever. And even, obviously played Ray or whatever, but you could still be like, oh, that's Jamie Foxx's spin. I feel like here he just embodied a character and kind of left it at that.
Yeah.
And there was no Jamie Foxx antics, which is totally fine. Obviously Felicia Rashad's always amazing. She could, you could have her read a Jiffy cornbread box and you're like, oh gosh, she's just amazing. And then who else was? Oh yeah, Tina Fey was great. I don't know if it was the mixing or the EQ, but neither of them sounded much like themselves. Usually,
it took me a minute, and it was like not halfway through the movie, but I couldn't get past it. I was like, I know this voice.
Yeah,
I know this voice. Who is this? So eventually, like during the movie, I had to look it up to turn my brain off and let me just watch the movie. But
I think she slightly modulated her voice just a little bit higher.
But once I knew it was her, it definitely sounded more like her.
I think they both modulated their voice. So she modulated her voice higher. He became more even keeled.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually he'll have some highs and ups. Like he'll do the, hey, something. Like, man, come on, you need to go up and down, but he was more kind of like straight ahead. So I think that's why it kind of felt less Jamie Foxxy.
Angela Bassett as Dorothea.
Oh,
singer.
That was Dorothea?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and then Graham Norton was the sign spinner.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Moonwind. And then the Jerrys, I don't recognize their names. It was Alice Braga and Richard Ayoade. Sorry, I destroyed your last name. But also, did you catch one of the Jerrys was Fortune Feimster? Feimster.
I didn't know. I didn't.
I don't know.
They were all talking.
It was another one. I think she said like something, and I was like, I know this voice. all these voices. I'm like, I know this voice. Who is this?
But I technically don't know this voice.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So then Daveed Diggs was in there. I think he was one of the guys at the barbershop. It just says Paul.
That makes sense.
I'm like, which guy was he? Oh, maybe he was the guy that
Talking
was
trash.
ragging on him. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Okay. Yeah. I think that was him.
Good old Paul.
Yeah. Good old Paul. So, all right. I think we covered it.
We covered all the things we wanted to cover.
Things to think about.
We don't have to cover everything.
Cast, tomatoes.
Cats, pizza, subways.
Yeah. I thought the little gags were cute. It made me laugh several times.
Pizza Rat.
Pizza Rat was in there.
Cameo. Pizza Rat's probably been dead. But he lives on.
He lives on forever.
In soul.
He's immortalized.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe he was helping another rat and then fell back in, and now he's a human.
Maybe.
And the other one is no. One would be a rat, and then one would be a human. That's what would happen. He would be the human, and then the unborn soul would be the rat. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd be like, that's my body. Soul
Right.
2.
That's
On the move. All right, everybody. We love
guys.
you. We thank you.
Subscribe
on the YouTube.
Subscribe on the places you listen to podcasts.
Right. And
If you want to be a Patreon, we have that too.
Patreon or patron?
Be a patron on Patreon.
Patreon. Everything pretty much is, hey, we just saw a movie. Instagram, all that stuff. Everything but Twitter, but we don't use it that much. So shout out to the people who are listening in Germany. I don't know your names because it doesn't tell me that, but shout out to Germany. We love you. We can't wait to get back there once all this is over.
Yeah.
We can go
travel again.
See Germany.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.